We had a good practice today. We got a two-a-day today, both shorter practices where we're trying to get out there and start picking up the tempo, trying to do a good job moving in and out of all the different elements we'll be facing here in a week. We're a week out now, so it's an exciting time, and I'm excited. You guys excited? But good practice. I like the way the kids ran around today. I thought our demo teams, our scout teams did a nice job, giving looks, and it was a good way to kind of kick it off as we get into this Penn State real thick in the game plan. With that, any questions?
Any questions?
Scott, how about the element of, you can watch film from them from last year, but I mean, they've got a new quarterback situation coming in. I mean, can you tell me about that first game aspect? And there's so much unknown when you get
I think it's important as coaches that we streamline our game plans on both sides of the ball and within the kicking game going into a new season. You never really know what the opponent's going to do, so you have to be careful. You have so much time from the end of your last game in the prior season through spring ball to look at tape and study the next opponent, and you have to be careful because you can get a lot of tendencies. If you break down all those games, you can get some great tendencies from last year, but they're not going to call the game the same way. It's going to be the people that they're placing, even when the coordinators would be the same. Their coordinator on the other side of the ball, on the defense side of the ball, is new, but he's been in the system. So I'm sure they'll keep the system similar, but I know the personality really could change the whole way the game goes with regards to scheme. So you got to be careful going into that first game and streamline your game plan and keep concepts in that you like, and be able to pull upon those concepts throughout the course of the game as you adjust to the elements.
Steve?
This is a little off from Penn State, but looking at Dyshon and how he's played the pass the last couple of years, and also just whenever he drops into coverage, did you see him at all as a liability the last couple of years? I know he's still a little bit new as a linebacker in his third year, and this year, just in camp, have you seen any improvement in kind of what?
No, I wouldn't know what plays you were talking about. He actually was pretty good in coverage last year. Didn't get a lot of balls thrown his way. He had one interception that was good. Dyshon in high school played on both sides of the ball. He was a wide receiver and a safety. He played some corner. He's got great ball skills. He moves like a safety. So he's good in underneath coverage. No, I don't see it that way at all.
Michael?
Scott, at the end of the week in Fort Drum, we talked about the tight end position and who was maybe going to step up and kind of support Beckett a little bit. Anyone kind of emerged at all lately there?
We got a hand, really. Beckett's done a good job. I've been pleased with Paris. He's improving. He's getting better with all the things that we're asking him to. Kendall Moore has shown a lot of improvement as well. And Jacob Green's kind of just a real steady guy that you feel like he's always going to be where he's supposed to be or trying to do his job. So you have a mix there. You have a mix of some experience and then some young guys that you never know until you really get them on the game field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you have a young, real talented kid that has all the measurables, that has to learn mentally how to prepare for a game and, focus in on the things that he can control and not worry about, tickets for the pretty girl in history class and that sort of thing. So we're dealing with all those things as we get into this. But I think I've seen improvement there. We just need to be more consistent, which is probably the theme across the board.
So is PJ maybe out of it for this season?
No, he's not out of it.
Okay.
He's not out of it. It's just a matter of seeing how the game plans go and that sort of thing.
Nate?
Nobody's out of it yet. That won't happen in a long time.
I was wondering if there was an update on three guys who we didn't see practice previously, Krautman, Knapp, and Morona.
Yeah, Knapp had a good practice today. He was running around doing some good things, made some good blocks. Ross we're getting some good kicks with him, especially tomorrow. He feels good, 100%. And then with Tyler, we're taking it easy. He's had some injury issues in the past, and trying to do what's in the best interest of him as a young person and make sure we're real smart with him.
Chris?
Kendall said before the season that he figured he was probably redshirting just to get stronger and put on weight. Did you mention him mean you're probably considering using him?
Yeah, he knows. He knows the whole plan. I think before they get here and they look around and see who they're going to compete against. And, he's a big-bodied kid that can do a lot of things down the road. He can play tight end. He can slide in and tackle. He's a perfect guy to swing in unbalanced formations, down the road, because he's a big athlete from the south side of Chicago, so he played basketball. They all know how to play basketball down there. And, sky's the limit. The whole thing with Kendall and all the freshmen is just, it's the mental side of the game that's most important. The physicality side will catch up every year. They get bigger, stronger, faster. But the guys that can play at a young age are the guys that have the mental capacity to, handle more on their plate. And more on their plate doesn't just mean the game plan. It means, how they're dealing with all the factors that have nothing to do with football a lot of the time. You know what I mean? School, bus schedule, where's this class at? As the game creeps forward, got to learn to focus in on the things that are most important. Always talk about delayed gratification. Let's knock out the things you dislike early in the week. You know what I mean? The homework, the study tables, that sort of thing, so we can streamline our mindset as we get close to the game. And those are things that I'm always talking to kids like Kendall and young kids that can have a role as we get into the early season.
Sal?
Coach, with regards to that, I know you just spoke about what you don't know and it being the first game, but you do know that they returned some key position guys that are going to be big on the line. Can you just elaborate on what kind of challenge that presents?
Yeah, great challenges, great team, great coach. They have a lot of good supporting cast around that field on both sides of the ball. They have some very talented tight ends, great guard on offense. They run around good. They're real sound on defense. They understand what their coaches are asking of them, and they play within the framework of what they do and what they do well. So, for us, it'll just be, and until you get out on the field, you really don't have a feel for, who's going to be, the most impact guy in their game plan. So you got to be ready to adjust early in the game. But just similar to what was asked earlier, you got to go in there and streamline it and move forward. I always felt like, simplicity leads to complexity on the football field. When a kid has a plan, knows the plan, and has worked the plan with repetitions, he's going to go fast. And there's nothing more complex than speed on the football field. So that's the approach that we have to take with them. And speed doesn't have as much to do with his 40 time as it does, his brain getting it to the 40 time. If a kid's a 4.5 40, will he play a 4.5 40 on the field? You don't want the mind to get in the way of the legs, you know what I'm saying? So those are the things we're looking at as coaches. How much is too much? You want to have all the bullets in the chamber when you go to a game, but you don't want to have too much ammunition falling out of the pocket and look sloppy.
Brent?
Scott, how would you characterize Ashton's training camp, and does he seem more comfortable now? It seems like his role's been streamlined in that H-back position.
Yeah, I think so. We talk a lot about A and B with him. He's a very talented kid. He needs to do A and B. And then when he's comfortable doing A and B, let C take over. And the C part of it is the God-gifted ability he has. You know what I mean? Run the route, catch the ball, look it in. That's A and B. C is, I caught the ball, I tucked it, I turned around, and then I let my athleticism take over. At times, with a lot of very, very talented athletes, they try to jump through A and forget about B, and that ball's on the ground, you know what I mean? Incomplete pass, but he's working on it. He knows the plan. He's working the plan hard. He loves his football, and he's worked extremely hard. I've been proud of the way he's worked at it, not only this preseason camp, but throughout spring after he had that ankle injury, the way he got himself healthy, and then progressed through the summer when we showed up. He looked like he was really ready to go.
David?
Scott, one lineman told me about, especially the interior lines, their athleticism, their speed, makes them well suited for pulling and stuff like that. Is the outside run going to be a bigger part of the running game this year?
I don't know. We'll see Saturday. What'd you say? One lineman told you that?
Yeah.
Tell him not to talk to you so much, okay?
Shafer?
Isaiah Johnson is a player who started playing football when he was a junior in high school. What good things have you seen out of him so far? What areas can he still improve?
Yeah, he's a young, raw athlete. He's got a lot of ability. He's just very similar to some of the questions that were answered earlier with the mindset of a young player. The mental part will keep Isaiah or someone else on the field from getting to where they could be if they don't play with consistent mental approach. You know, that's my biggest thing with Isaiah. You see a good thing and then 3 bad and then a good and three bad. And a lot of the freshmen will be like, oh, Coach, I'm trying. I say, eliminate the word try. Get it done. Do it, you know. And that's always the biggest change. I'm sure my son's going through it down the road at Ithaca. And he calls home and he's like, Dad, what's cover 5? I said, it's a lot of different things. It depends what their coaches call cover 5. Man, you know, I'm trying to get this. Hey, eliminate the word try. Just get it done. Don't accept the fact that that word comes out of your mouth. And those are the things that we're working with the freshmen to understand. A new mindset and a new approach. Most of those kids were the best players in high school, and some of them got coddled a little bit, you know. And they need to get pushed to where they understand their role in the program is dependent upon their consistency. And it starts with that mindset we just talked about.
Michael.
Scott, I know you don't want to name the quarterback, but I'm just curious if you and your staff come to a decision, and when you do, how do you plan to tell the guys?
The guys know the direction we've been going. You know, just not going to make it a big deal, just like I want to name the other position. I'm just going to stay with that same plan.
Nate.
I wanted to ask you about a couple of defensive linemen, Micah Robinson and Robert Welsh. What have you seen from those 2 guys this camp, and has either or anyone else emerged as a consistent pass rusher for you?
We'll see, you know, on game day. We try to be smart about keeping them off the quarterback, and sometimes that limits what you really know. Like, you'll see a kid make a play, and you don't know if he really sacked him or if the quarterback would have gotten away. So, but Mike has worked extremely hard. More important than just the football. Talking about that consistency thing that we were talking earlier with the freshmen, Micah was a young man that had to learn that. He's learned that. And he did a great job in summer school. He had like a 3.8, 9 credit hours. And it was a great job by Brady Rourke and their staff on the academic side of things. And the reason I'm talking that way is when you see consistency on the field, usually it mirrors up with consistency off the field. And the thing I've seen with Micah is socially, he's become a more consistent guy. The way he gets over here, the way he's dressed, you know, just growing up. And then on the academic side of things, his consistency's gotten better. So I think he's on the verge of having a real good season. He's always been a real tough, hard-nosed, physical guy from Cleveland, Ohio. But maybe it wasn't always as direct as it needed to be with his consistency. I've seen that improve. Robbie Welsh, on the other hand, extremely consistent young man on the football field. Knows his strengths, knows his weaknesses, is learning to put himself in a position to lean on his strengths, whisper his weaknesses, but always work on them type of deal. So I think both of those kids are primed to help us, you know, continue forward as we get into this week and have a good season and understand their role.
Coach, as you get ready for your first game week, what differences have there been, or maybe something that you've had to kind of adjust approaching it being the head coach as opposed to when you get ready for an opponent who's the quarterback?
Yeah, oh, probably just, you know, all the things you could imagine, having to talk to more you folks, you know, and I'll be honest with you, it's I've been sleeping good. I had a couple tough nights a while back, but now that we're getting into the game planning and the focus of the task at hand, it's easier to keep the peripheral things out because you go to bed and your mind's churning and you're saying, okay, Coach McDonald wants these things to be done. How can I help him get it done? So I've felt the last couple days more like I used to. There was like a sense of calm when I got closer to the game, and then you had to manage the emotions, you know, when you get on the bus to head out and those types of things. But I don't know, it feels the same. I'm sure it'll feel a lot different when I'm on the sideline, but it's kind of where I see it.
Hey, Coach, talking about Coach O'Brien's offenses, what's the challenge in trying to defend them?
He's multiple. He'll keep in some of the same personnel groupings, but give you multiple sets. He's done a nice job on third down with emptying the backfield and emptying out with tight ends. You can see a tight end walked out outside as a number 1 receiver as opposed to a traditional attached tight end to a tackle. He's got some backs that he can move all over the place to try to create matchup problems. And, you know, with him coming from the NFL, with what the Patriots did, they did as good a job as anyone, you know, in that league. creating mismatches. So we have to be prepared for those types of things. Zwinek, running back, we try to recruit him here. He's just a big, strong kid that he runs hard. He's faster than people realize. And then the Lynch kid played well in the spring, I know. And so I think matchups. To answer your question, I think it's the matchups. It's the people fitting into the scheme over your people, and it's not so much just the X's and O's, but it's it's the Joes across from each other, the people that he's done a good job matching them up, and excellent game management type coach. So a lot of challenges in front of us, great challenges that we can't wait to give our best shot.
Stephen.
So it sounds like Kyle Knapp is back practicing with contact. You said he was blocking.
Yes, sir.
Is you expected to play against Penn State? Is he like 100%?
Yeah, I mean, as long as the coach is having the game plan.
Sure. And let's say you have completely healthy offensive line. Do you see him as for the third tackle kind of role, or is he a guy you'd maybe move to guard before someone else?
Those are too many questions there for us to
Sorry.
answer
What do
right
you
now.
see his role in the offensive line?
To be a solid backup, and when the time comes for him to get in, to go in and play his ass off.
Alicia.
Coach, I don't mean to make you repeat this, but are these guys where you want them to be at this point? What's the next week going to be like for you?
I'm sorry, you're going to have to repeat that because I just noticed your T-shirt says Ithaca is gorgeous.
Right, I went to Ithaca. Go on.
That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get away from you guys so I can call my son. He just had a scrimmage this morning. So anyway, can you repeat that question?
Just can you quickly just tell me, are these guys where you want them to be at this point? What the next week is going to be like leading up?
Yeah, for the most part, I think they are where I want them to be. Gave them the day off yesterday. That was one of those days. I think Nate was asking earlier why we had practices every single day. That was the second practice that we gave them off, actually. We had another 2-day where we practiced once. And I did that because I felt like they were where we needed to be. And, mentally, you never know until you get in that game. The one thing you always know going into a game plan, this is the 100% rule from my point of view. The one thing you always know is you never know. You never know how they're going to react, especially in the first game. But as far as controlling the things we can control and then practicing the way we want them to, I've seen a steady ramping up of the way we've practiced and gone through the processes. So I feel good about where we are, and now it's just a matter of, I think the kids need to do a great job finding balance and harmony with their mind as we work into next week. Second part of your question. Athletics is mind over matter, more than physicality, in my opinion. And we want those kids to go in that game and find that balance and then center their focus and not be in a situation where their focus is too wide. And that's my job, to make sure we get them on point and have them a sense of consistency as we approach Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we ramp it up. So those are the things I'm looking forward to working with the kids on, really starting tomorrow, the mindset side of things, the plan. As a head coach, I'm excited about it. I used to do it with the defensive kids, but it's fun to do it with, I love that part of the job. So hopefully we can get them to where they go out and at bare minimum play their butts off and play sound football and don't hurt ourselves too much and then just compete, and that's the goal.
John.
I know you guys try to Ashton Boyle that QB. Can we expect him to be under center a couple times for Penn State game next week?
Yeah, I think you always have to be ready for that Wildcat package. He was a great quarterback in high school. Threw some good balls the other day in practice. And how much, how little, you just never know. You know what I mean? But, I watched him play in that state championship game when he was in high school. And he can do just about everything you ask, if you keep it simple, streamlined. But, so we'll see. We got everything in and ready to go, and he's done some good things, so we'll see what happens.
Chris.
When you've been in coaching as long as you have, you've had a handful of debuts in different positions in different schools. Do any memories stand out from whether it's your first game as a coach or your first game as a coordinator?
A ton of things stand out. They really do. For me, as a young coach, as a graduate assistant, you guys know I played small college football, and my first, and I'm from Ohio, and my first college job was a graduate assistant for Bill Mallory at Indiana, and we opened up against a real good Notre Dame team, and the head coach there was Lou Holtz, and between Coach Mallory and Lou Holtz, you know, there's two guys you really look at as a young guy, two guys from Ohio, coaching at the highest level, and that stands out. What I remember the most was I was charting that game, and I was on the sideline, and I remember before the game getting yelled at Coach Holtz for being over the 50, and we were supposed to be over by the 40, and I remember thinking, you know, kind of getting pissed at him, you know, and it turned into just like, hey, we're in someone's backyard, man, let's go. It's on now, you know what I mean? So like all the books I read about him and all that other stuff I read about him kind of went down the drain. It was like, all right, it's on. And then, you know, we had a timeout somewhere in the middle of the second quarter, and I forgot about all the pomp and circumstance and the fight song and the, you know, all the stuff that doesn't matter. And we were in the middle of the fight. We lost that game. They were a real good team. But I remember thinking in the middle of that second quarter at that timeout saying, it's overrated, to be honest with you. So that's the biggest one. And then I always remember the games where we weren't supposed to win and we did. You know, we've had a lot of those over the years, a lot of them here. You know, those are the ones I remember the most rather than maybe the firsts, you know what I mean?
Michael.
Scott, we've asked you, like, you know, some of the things about how this week will go in terms of your first week as a head coach, but I'm curious, just in terms of things off the practice field, have you thought at all about how you want the guys to travel? Do you want to take them and tour the stadium like Doug used to do? Those kind of things.
Yeah, we have it all scripted out, and we know exactly what we want to do, and it will be similar. I agreed with a lot of the things that we've done in the past. I like to get off the bus and take them over to the stadium and do a little walk around, and then we'll go straight to dinner after that. You know, we always talk about it being a business trip, so we'll look nice, and then we'll get back to the hotel after dinner and, you know, drop our sweats, put our sweats on and go down and have a little bit of meeting time, and then get them off their feet, let them go watch, you know, a little TV, watch a little football, whatever's on, and then get them up in the morning and do a few things. So it's, most of the places I've been very similar. It's just, it ends up being, you know, somebody has one way or the other that they like to do things, but I've thought about that a lot. I haven't looked at my neckties or anything yet, but that'll be coming up pretty soon. Those things don't matter.
Kind of on the same vein, Scott, has the approach been that this is just game one and it's game one, or do you kind of embrace that it's, you know, it's a big name program, it's in an NFL stadium? I mean, does it help kind of add a little extra fuel to the fire with the guys?
It does to some degree. It's more the personal things, you know, that every game you get fired up about. You know, we'll be at MetLife, and as much as I'd like to hope we'll have a ton of fans show up, and I know the loyal ones will be there, chances are Penn State's going to have quite a few more people than us. That's a reality. And I challenge all our fans to come out, but at the end of the day, they want a product that they can support, and we need to do a good job putting that product on the field before we pull the cart before the horse. The thing is the fans that are there appreciate them, and we owe them everything I've been talking about since we got the job. But as far as, you know, to answer the question of is it bigger because of this, that, or the other thing, it's another football game, and that's not coach talk. It's another football game. It's 11 guys. You know, 10 coaches against 10 coaches, our managers against their managers, our trainers against their trainers. It's a competitive element of sport that you love so much that is going to be there, whether it's Syracuse, Penn State, or Baldwin Wallace, John Carroll. You know, it feels the same once you're in it. That's what I always told, you know, my boy, my son, you know, find a place you can go to and compete so you can play. Because if you're not playing, you're losing out and you're missing out on the game. And the passion of the game is the same regardless of all the, you know, the color of the jerseys and the tradition. Once you get on the field, those things are forgotten, and then it's every man for himself. Just like when you talk to the military. Do they take great pride in protecting our country? Yes. Do they take great pride in looking up at the flag and saying that's our flag? Yes. But at the end of the day, every military guy I've ever talked to where they gave it to you straight said it was about the guy next to him, the brotherhood of the guy next to him. And I really believe that's what it amounts to in college football, and I suspect in every sport in NCAA.
Final question from me.
Can you give us any names of freshman or first-year junior college players who you think will contribute, if not Saturday, at some point this year?
You already got them all. Anybody on that list, you can't give them an advantage, Nate. And I don't want to tighten anyone's butt up too much if they are one of those guys, but put their name out there.
I don't know
Let's get
what their
them,
role would be.
let's get them through there, right? So I appreciate you. You guys ask good questions.
Thanks,
It's never
Coach.
personal either. You guys know that. 99% of the time. Is that it?
We're good.
Guys
Thank you,
have a
Coach,
good
very much.
afternoon.